Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Ordinary Council meeting 29 April 2025. There's a new disclaimer. In accordance with Regulation 141 of the Local Government Administration Regulations 1996, this meeting is being audio recorded and the recording will be published on the town's website within 14 days. Members of the public are cautioned against taking any action as a result of a council decision tonight until such time as they have been advised in writing by the council's administration with regard to any particular decision. Declare the meeting open at 7:01. Item 2, leave of absence. Councillor Cameron is absent, obviously, and I've got a request from Councillor Kelly, 26 May, 9th June, request for leave of absence. Mover and seconder, please. Move Councillor Franklin, seconded Councillor Gertzi. All those in favour? Carried, no dissent. Thanks, Paul. Item 3 nil. Item 4 nil. Public question time nil. Sorry.
I had a request for leave of absence too.
Oh, do you? Okay. Not there. Can you just give me the dates and I'll...
It'll be, it's coming up. Item 7, I think is. Yeah, item 7.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. Disclosure of up to 5 nil as part of Section 6 public statement time. We have Mrs. Tabitha McMullen regarding item 1711, lease for 39 Goodgery Street, Claremont. Would you care to come forward, please, to the...
Thank you. Thank you so much, councillors and mayor, for having me here this evening. It's a pleasure to come and speak to this item. At Forum, I'm Tabitha McMullen, I'm the CEO of Forum Building Estate of Creativity, and we hold the lease at 39 Goodgery Street, just over the road, and I'll also operate a Forum Gallery and Cafe at 4 Shenton Road, and we've enjoyed a wonderful relationship with the Town of Claremont administration and with the council, and it's just great to be here and speak to this item. So we are a not-for-profit organisation, and our purpose is to drive a vibrant creative economy for the benefit and well-being of communities, including that of the town of Claremont. And we have leased the premises at 39 Goodgery Street since 2016, given that our operations are next to our major public-facing asset, the gallery in Claremont. And we are really grateful for the ongoing support and collaboration with the town of Claremont that we've had for over this time. We have a good problem to have, which is that we are growing, and we are looking at expanding our programs and personnel over the next 5 to 10 years, and are no longer able to accommodate our team within the station master's house. And we respectfully request our early termination of our lease agreement as per the details in our letter to the council. And we hope that you will look favourably upon this request. It's really beyond our control, and we are very, very committed to the continued operation of the gallery, and any financial impasse on us make it more difficult to run our not-for-profit gallery and cafe at Claremont, which we continue to be committed to. So we really appreciate the consideration of our request, and happy to take any questions if there are any.
There'll be no questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Michael Lees, item 1712.
Good evening, councillors and mayor. Thank you for your time tonight. My name is Michael Lees, and I'm the owner of Method Health, the health and fitness facility located at 30 Lapsley Road, right here in the town of Claremont. I'm here this evening to ask for your support for a proposed renovation and expansion of the facility and the business in exchange for a lease negotiation. Since taking ownership in March 2022, we've experienced incredible growth, including a 150% increase in memberships, with numbers now pushing 500 members, classes at full capacity every week, and soaring demand for private health, fitness and physiotherapy services. With this growth, we now believe there is an exciting opportunity to expand our positive impact on the Claremont community. At Method Health, we're more than just a gym facility. We run over 30 group fitness classes every week. We provide expert physiotherapy, lifestyle management and rehabilitation support. We share free education on lifestyle, health and fitness through blogs and social media content, and partner with organisations such as the WA Youth Cancer Service to support young people recovering from cancer, and also Western Suburbs Cares to help local seniors stay strong, active and independent in the Claremont community. However, our current facility is now at capacity, and expanding would allow us to strengthen these important partnerships, create new connections with local schools and other community groups, and further activate the Lake Claremont area as a vibrant community hub. The proposal, as outlined in the report that you have received, details our plans to build out an underutilised outdoor space at the back of our facility, turning it into a vibrant, activated area for the whole community. This expansion will allow Method Health to continue to grow sustainably and, most importantly, to further contribute towards building a healthier, stronger Claremont community along with the Council. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Lees. Item 7, Councillor Franklin is seeking leaves 27 May to 24 June. Mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Brown moving, seconded Councillor Hatton. All those in favour? Carried, no dissent. Thank you, Councillor. Confirm the minutes of the 25th March 2025 OCM. Moved Councillor Swan, seconded Councillor Hatton. All those in favour? Carried, no dissent. Thank you, councillors. Item 10, you can see there's 2 confidential items. Item 11 is nil. Item 12.1.1. I need a mover and a second to get it on the floor. You've got to move it, but I need you've got an amendment. You want to move with it, moving with amendment? Sure. Yep, with amendment, okay. Move, and then once the reason's up, I'll get a seconder. Seconder, please. Councillor Brown seconding. Councillor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The role of the Audit, Risk and Performance Committee is pretty clear in the financial regulations. The committee is a statutory committee, and it has to deal with the external audits, the internal statutory audits, the compliance and legal and statutory requirements, and risk management, and must advise the council in regards to those matters. So Paxton undertook an audit, as is identified in the minutes of the committee. The committee felt that there was some concerns that arose out of that audit, and resolved that it should recommend to the council that a further audit be undertaken before the end of 2025. Now, that does have some financial cost to the organisation. So the amendment, if I can just focus on the amendment a little bit, as per the recommendation of the Audit and Risk and Improvement Committee, Council consider an allocation of allocation in the 25 and 26 budget to undertake a financial systems audit as per the Financial Management Regulations 5(2)(c) before the end of 2025. That's the exact recommendation in the minutes. Now, some of the findings may well have been legacy findings, but we don't know. There's a requirement under the regulations for this audit to be undertaken not less than every 3 years. And this effectively, most of what was reported in the audit was the previous financial year. So even if we do another audit, it then pushes that 3-year period out for, we don't have to do another one for 3 years. So whilst we might be repeating one, it does mean that we get a 3-year extension. So, but there were 2 or 3 areas of concern in there, and all 3 of them were rated as high risk. One related to the to reconciliations of payroll. Another was approval of the payroll run, and the third was procurement of processes and conflicts of interest, and of interest is the procurement processes, which are probably of reasonably significant concern. Of the samples tested, 20%, the audit noted that 20% of the invoices dated preceded the purchase order. Now, that's potentially a high risk for any kind of cybercrime, because it means that if invoices are sent in and they're not matched with a purchase order before they're paid or dealt with, then it's certainly a high risk, and has been the case in some other councils where that in fact has happened, where false invoices have basically been sent in, they haven't been checked with purchase orders. The other is similarly a bit concerning, in that 50% of the sample, and they're very small samples, so it could well be that it just happened to be that these are the samples that the auditor pulled. Audit noted that there was no evidence of the required quotations was received, and no evaluation selection process was provided as evidence of the compliance with the town's processes. So it's highly recommend, well, it's a resolution of the audit committee that we repeat the audit before the end of this calendar year. So that's why the amendment is the case. So I'm happy to support the minutes, but wanted to call out in particular the fact that we need to consider, or should consider, in the budget deliberations, an allocation of funds to repeat the audit. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Councillor Hatton. Anyone wish to speak against the motion as amended? I'll put the motion as amended. All those in favour? Carried, no dissent. Item 12.1.2, I need a mover and a seconder, please. Review of council policies. Move Councillor Kelly, seconder Councillor Franklin. Councillor Kelly.
Just very briefly, these two went to the audit committee, as you well know, Mr. Presiding Member, because you're a member of the audit committee. We've endorsed these policies for recommendation to the council.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Councillor Franklin.
Nothing further to add.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? I'll put it. All those in favour? Carried, no dissent. Thank you, councillors. Item 13.1.1, annual car parking sub-licence fee. Mover and a seconder, please, councillors. Move Councillor Swan, seconder Councillor Goetze. Councillor Swan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we all know, the demand for parking bays is at a premium in the Claremont Town Centre, and as stated in the report, the current commercial value of all-day bays are substantially far more than the current and proposed individual sub-licence fees of $1,000 per annum. However, given that most of the tenants, if not all the tenants, are small business owners, and I know that last time the council thought that was a strong reason to support such a reasonable fee, I also am willing to allow this very reasonable fee to be reinstated. My only comment would be that if people are not paying these fees in a timely manner, perhaps that you should go to the next person on the wait list, because I understand there's a long wait list for this, and if people aren't paying in a timely manner, then really they lose their spot. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Swan. Councillor Goetze.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As a council, we've always supported small businesses, and I think it's very important to support small businesses in the town, and in particular in Old Theatre Lane. I think once building commences in Bayview Terrace and also in St Quentin's Avenue, then I think shops are going to be under even more pressure than they are now. I've noticed in Old Theatre Lane that the Brogues shoe shop has gone, and La Luca is closing down. The travel shop changed hands recently, and we want to try and keep small shops in Old Theatre Lane alive and vibrant. So this is a very small thing that we can do to help them, and so I support that.
Thank you, Councillor Goetze. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll put it. All those in favour? Carried, no dissent. Thank you, councillors. Item 13.1.2, list of payments 1 to 31 March. Mover and a seconder, please, or I could on block if you wish the next two. Okay. Are you prepared to move it then, Councillor Kelly? And seconder, Councillor Goetze. So, you have the floor.
Look, I had a couple of queries that last night, and they were very adequately answered today, so I'm very comfortable to move it.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Councillor Goetze. Anyone wish to speak against? I'll put it. That's 13.1.2 and 13.1.3. All those in favour? Carried, no dissent. Thank you, councillors. Item 13.1.4, differential rating. I'll need a mover and a seconder, please, councillors. Move, Councillor Kelly. Seconded, Councillor Swan. Councillor Kelly.
Happy to support it, Mr Mayor. Just to make it clear that this isn't actually setting a rate, this is just flagging a range for the differential rate, and the rate will finally be set when we bring down the budget, probably in June, July.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Councillor Swan.
Yes, and just also to add that I think that the use of the differential rates has been effective, and I think it is a more equitable distribution of the cost of services based on the demands of each property category. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Swan. Anyone wish to speak against? I'll put it. All those in favour? Carried, no dissent. Thank you, councillors. Item 13.2.1, proposed, there's an amendment, but I'll get it on the floor first of all. Move and seconder, please. Move, Councillor Goetze. Seconder, Councillor Mayne. Councillor Goetze.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As we all know, this report is about starting the process of the road closure and the amendments to the North East Precinct Structure Plan, and to progress an amalgamation of car park number 5. A business plan will also be prepared to look at all our options for this piece of land. So obviously we're not making any decisions today about what the land will be used for. We're simply initiating turning a problematic piece of land, which is currently a car park, into a piece of land that could potentially be a development site. So there's a number of steps that need to be taken, as this land is currently heavily constrained. So it's constrained by the road reserve, by the PSP, by the heritage curtilage of the goods shed, by a gas main that runs along Shenton Road, and also by the trees that we want to retain. So all these factors have to be taken into consideration before any development can take place. But I'm very much in favour of making a start on this process to make a viable block of land. And the first step in this process is the road closure and the amendments to the North East Precinct Structure Plan. So I believe that the responsible thing for council to do is to create a block of land here that has the potential to be developed in the future, regardless of who does the development. So it could be us doing the development, it could be the state government doing the development, it could be a developer. And before any of that happens, a business plan will be developed to look at all the options. But first, we need to create the block that has the potential to be developed. So I support taking the first steps in this process, and so I support the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Goetze. Councillor Mayne.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I agree with Councillor Goetze. This is a funny little triangle, and the term road doesn't really describe well the corner of piece of land at the front of the car park that is on the map and is involved in the merger. The car park, well, that area was going to be a future development site since the NEP first drew up plans. Don't think many of us were even councillors then. It was originally to be merged to create an area for a police station, and when that decision didn't go through, the merger lapsed, so it was always planned on being a merged piece of land. And it's a central piece of land in the transport-oriented development area. So it makes sense to get all our ducks in a row to allow for that, for the future of the development of it.
Thank you, Councillor Mayne. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I have an amendment. Councillor Brown has an amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my amendment is that point 3 of the officer recommendation be amended to outline as below. Progress the draft proposal to amalgamate the road closure area with lot 11578 Shenton Road through the subdivision process, inclusive of land exchanges for portions of principal share part and creation of public open space to create a new development site. And the reason being that by deleting that last sentence, because the inclusion of the reference to the draft image provided in this report could be perceived that a design, including the bulk and massing of testing of this site, has been conducted, and it could be perceived as this was being supported by council.
Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Kelly.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of agree with the other councillors that have spoken that I think it's important we start the process. I think we do need to amalgamate this site. It is a tricky site. We do need a business plan. I guess the concern for me and having, you know, in my profession developed a lot of business plans is that there are normally concept designs and plans that come before that. So just the concern that I had with this plan put forward is that council have started that. I want to make it clear that we have not done any concept designs for that site. But the perception could be that, you know, there's trees indicators on that plan, there's lifts, there's ramps, there's setbacks. So I think there's perception that, you know, we have started looking at that from a concept design. So I just want to be clear that that is not the case, and that we're purely looking at just amalgamating the site to just support a business plan for this site. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Councillor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'm concerned that if you read the actual officer report as opposed to the recommendation, you could be led to believe that there had been considerable thought and provisions already provided for, embedded within the recommendation. I think we should be treating this as a greenfield site. I'm happy with the amalgamation of the lots, but any perception that something has already been designed, or in fact that there may indeed not be a building there at all, may become a car park. So we need to put this amalgamation of the lots out in a neutral environment rather than an environment that makes it look like there's going to be 42 dwellings there and certain other aspects of a development, because it may or may not be a development at all.
Assuming you're seconding by your statements.
Yeah,
thank you.
second the amendment, yeah.
Anyone wish to speak against the amendment? Anyone wish to speak for the amendment? I'll put the amendment. All those in favour? Carried, no dissent. I'll return to the primary motion as amended. Anyone wish to speak for the motion as amended? Anyone wish to speak against the motion as amended? I'll put it. All those in favour? Carried, no dissent. Thank you, councillors. Item 13.2.2, Queen Street footpath consultation results. I'll need a mover and a second initially, unless you want less. I'll go for a mover and a second. Then can I get a mover? Move Councillor Mayne. Seconded Councillor Swan. Councillor Mayne.
Yes, I'd just like to mention that the staff have put a lot of work into trying to probably please everybody in this respect, because sometimes there are exceptions to rules and it can be quite hard. This is a very narrow path and a very narrow verge. It's one of our last footpaths that are made of slabs. We're doing really well and we're really ahead on it. And part of the problem with these very narrow verges is that once you put in a footpath that is to spec, it is a very, very narrow, even narrower verge. And I'd like to also mention that it's been great that we've gone to community consultation with the neighbours. So I am putting forward the proposal.
Thank you, Councillor Main. The seconder was Councillor Sawam. So, Councillor Sawam.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, we as a council asked that this be referred back so that we could get consultation from the street. The street has given us their response, which is they prefer option 3, which is the replacement of the existing footpath with a 1.2 metre wide concrete footpath. So I think if we take the time to consult with a street, and it is a small street, and they overwhelmingly choose something, and then we disregard that, I think that's probably not acceptable. So I do not support the recommendation, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Sawam. Councillor.
No, actually, Mr Mayor, I will move a new motion if I can. So I'll speak to this if that's...
Well, first of all, I've got to put this motion.
Yeah, well, can I speak to it, please?
Yes, you can speak to it, yeah, as it is.
I'm speaking to the motion as it is at the moment, yeah. So I'm speaking against the motion. So the motion is to remove the footpath against the wishes of the residents. So although this is a very low traffic street, it's near Freshwater Bay Primary School, so it does provide a service to school children as well as the residents. And we sent consultation letters to 22 residents and we got 12 replies. So they were given 3 options: remove the footpath altogether, replace it with a 1.2 metre footpath, or replace it with a 1.5 metre footpath. And the results of the consultation clearly showed that the residents were in favour of retaining the under-width 1.2 metre footpath on the western side, and that they wanted to replace the slabs with concrete. They did not want the footpath removed. So although our council policy does not support under-width footpaths, we do actually have precedents. So there are a number of streets where we've done this before, where there've been narrow verges and narrow streets. So an example is the footpath we put in Caxton and the footpath we put in Walter Street. So it's not uncommon, especially in heritage areas, to be constrained for space. And Queen Street, as we know, is a heritage area, and so the roadway and verges are very narrow. So this is an example of where common sense needs to prevail, as the area has very limited space. Also, having undertaken the consultation with the residents, I think we should heed what the residents want. There's an allocation in the budget to replace this footpath. The residents want us to replace this footpath, and so I think that what we should do is to replace this footpath. So I do not support the officer recommendation, and if the officer recommendation is lost, then I've got a new motion that I want to move to approve option 3 and replace the footpath on the western side with an under-width 1.2 metre concrete footpath.
Thank you, Councillor Goetze. Anyone wish to speak for the officer recommendation? Councillor Hatton.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, only 50% of the residents responded, and of those 50%, just over 50% of those wanted a 1.2 metre footpath, but there's actually 2 issues here. The first is the officer's recommendation is for no footpath at all, but if we do that, the residents will accuse us of not listening to them, and why would we consult with them if we're not going to take any notice of them? And we note that only 1 opted for no footpath. But if we remove that footpath and don't reinstate it, after the initial cost of doing of removing it and then reinstating the verge, there would be savings by only having to maintain one footpath. Also, according to policy LV 125 footpaths, since Queen Street is an access road, it's recommended for a single footpath only. The thing is, we're stuck between a rock and a hard place, but I think I have to support the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hatton. Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think I moved the motion that we go and ask the residents what they want, and did that on the basis that I'd been pretty heavily lobbied by a number of residents, but there's the fact that we've gone against just about everybody bar one person in the street, and I haven't been lobbied at all in relation to the recommendation. I'm starting to get a bit worried about whether it's nothing 1.2 or 1.5. But having said that, it's clear that the majority want a footpath and slightly narrower than the standard. It's a very narrow street. There's a narrow footpath on the other side. I don't have a problem with probably supporting the foreshadowed motion if this is lost, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Anyone wish to speak for? Anyone wish to speak again? Councillor Franklin speaking for.
Against, yeah.
Against.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, we've gone to the trouble of public consultation. It's a small, narrow street. The residents have spoken. They're the ones who have to live there. I think we have policies to make things uniform, but in small streets where we have gone to the expense of consultation, I think we need to listen to what the residents have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Franklin. Anyone wish to speak for? Now, I think we've had for and against, so I can't remember now. It was moved by Councillor Goetze. No, Councillor Main. Yeah, sorry. Councillor Main, you have the wrap up.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I am torn on this one, and I do agree with both parties, but I believe that one thing we should also be keeping in mind is increasing our green spaces. And this is quite a narrow verge, but if you walk down it, the gardens aren't much chop really, no offence to the neighbours, but because they've got such a narrow verge, they can't do much with it because there's too much concrete. So for me, I think that if we reinstate green and we put the lawns in, because actually Claremont is really good at doing that, and when it's done, I've just had it done at my place, they really do a schmick job. I think that those green spaces can actually be maintained and will look better for the whole street. The planning guidelines for the state are that this is a really good thing to do on a very narrow street. It's a quiet street. It's a very quiet street. The people walking down it don't need two sides of the street to get by because there's great crowds. It'd be great if there ever was on any street. But we just don't need two streets in terms of traffic. People can walk across the road to get to the path. It's a narrow little street, and you can actually, if you've got a pram or a bike, you go out your driveway and walk across the road and you're on a path. So it's not like there's no path. And I also think that if you think back to that street in 1920, there may have been no or one path, because paths on both sides of the road are a modern thing. And historically, there would have been beautiful green spaces or nature, or, you know, it probably originally was just sand. But it's really great when we can increase deep soil and green space. And I think, you know, if you add up all those concrete, maybe, I don't know how many metres long it is, but if you add up all that concrete, that's actually quite a lot of the green space and deep soil that we're missing out on. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Main. I shall put it. All those in favour? Councillor Hatton, Councillor Councillor Main, Councillor Hatton, and Barker in favour. Against, Councillor Goetze, Councillor Franklin, Councillor Kelly, Councillor Brown, Councillor Sawan. The motion is lost.
Okay, so
You I've got an alternative motion. Yep.
So my alternative motion is that council approve option 3 and replace the western footpath with a 1.2 metre concrete footpath. And my reason being that the results of the consultation show that the residents want to retain the footpath and they want to replace the existing slab footpath with a 1.2 metre concrete path.
Do I have a second? Second to Councillor Kelly. Please go ahead.
So I've already said my bit. Basically, even though council policy is for a 1.5 metre footpath, we've set precedents. We've done this in the past where especially in heritage areas where there's narrow verges, we've done underwidth footpaths previously. And I think this is an area where we need to support what the residents want and show some common sense.
Thank you, Councillor Gertzy. And the seconder was Councillor Kelly.
Councillor Mayne almost persuaded me, but I think, given that I moved that we go and ask them, I think it would be a little bit hypocritical of me to turn around and say, well, you're not getting a footpath at all. So I'm very happy to support the narrower version.
Anyone wish to speak against the alternative motion? I'll put the alternative motion. All those in favour? Carried, no dissent. Dear. Item 13.4.1. Options for implementation of the Food and Organics and Garden Organics FOGO system. Do I have a mover and a seconder? I'd like to get a mover who's an expert. No, it's all right. Councillor, you're happy to move. Move Councillor Gertzy. Seconded Councillor Brown. Councillor Gertzy.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm happy to delay the implementation of FOGO, where there's so many concerns regarding the processing of FOGO and also the marketability of the end product. It was very discouraging to see that ABC program that exposed the fact that FOGO from other councils was going into landfill because of contamination issues. And I've also heard stories from friends of mine that live in other councils complaining about smelly bins because they're only picked up fortnightly, and also complaints about recycling bin contamination and FOGO bin contamination because of the general rubbish pickup being fortnightly instead of weekly. So I support the further research into the viability of FOGO, into the processing and the marketability. And plus, so we're obviously going to get a report on this. I'd actually also like to know more about the current status of waste to energy. But I support the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Gertzy. Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I guess I was, over the break, I was down in the southwest where the article mentioned in this report was everywhere about this Southwest ratepayers disgusted, and I think on the back of that, I support this recommendation. I guess just bringing the article up now, what did I just read that? Yeah, there's no FOGO, or Bunbury Regional Council have stopped accepting FOGO altogether, and it's going straight to landfill. There's a 4.5% increase to existing waste management charges because of the contamination issues that are trying to be enforced at the moment. So I think on the back of that and the officer's report, I support the delay of FOGO. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak? Thank you, Councillor Franklin, speaking for.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think we have to thank our administration for delaying the implementation of FOGO. As we've seen in other councils, there's been a lot of lessons to be learned. our contamination rate of the green waste that we do is very low, and as our recycling of green waste has been quite successful. When you add the food to it and take the red bin away, other councils have seen lots of problems, as we've discussed, and in the southwest it's a huge problem. Social media has a lot of criticism of the lack of red bin space, and because of that lack of red bin space, people contaminate the yellow top bins and the green waste bins when FOGO is implemented. And although people are supposed to comply and checks are done and bins are sealed, if contamination continues to happen, then the system fails, which is what's happening. And although the truck drivers do have cameras to see what's going into the bins, there is the contamination rates just mean that it's not viable. So I'm appreciative that Claremont hasn't gone down the path yet, and we're hoping that somebody else will find a way of solving the problem before we have to run the expense of going down the path and backtracking. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Franklin. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll put it. All those in favour? Carried, no dissent. Thank you, councillors. Item 14, Councillor Mayne.
Luminosity Festival, which was a great success, and the children there and the parents and the families, the feedback from my friends who have children was sensational, and everyone seemed to be having a great time. It was a really great idea, beautiful weather for a change, and it was a real success. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mayne. Councillor Hatton.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Like every month I forget to look at what I've been doing, so this could be a truncated version. I too went to the History in a Coffee Cup, and it was really interesting, and I took someone that had actually gone to Claremont Teachers College, so she was pretty fascinated. I went to a night chats and for the Friends of Lake Claremont, and that was their next 5 years sort of strategy thing. I also went to a Busy Bee. I didn't go to our Anzac ceremony here, but I did go at Cottesloe Golf Club, not to the Anzac ceremony they had, but I was in the main room upstairs all by myself watching a giant TV, watching my friend Tia playing the bagpipes at Gallipoli, and I was very proud of her. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hatton. Councillor Goetze.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I attended the Anzac ceremony here at Claremont and had the great honour of being the MC for the event. We had a fantastic crowd, beautiful weather. There were 3 horses there, which was rather lovely. The Mayor made a very interesting speech. It's fascinating, the information that comes out about Anzacs and the incredible things they've done. The guys from the Lions Club told me that they cooked 400 bacon and egg burgers. So that was a pretty big effort. And so if there were 400 bacon and egg burgers that they gave out, I reckon there were probably at least 500 people there at the ceremony. So it was terrific. I also attended the citizenship ceremony and had a lovely chat to some Norwegian people because my son lives in Norway, so that was all very interesting. Went to the Luminous Art Trail, which as usual was absolutely fantastic, and ran into lots of granny friends there with their grandchildren, all having a wonderful time. And I also attended the History in a Coffee Cup about Claremont Teachers College.
Thank you, Councillor Goetze. Councillor Franklin.
Thank Thank you, Mr Mayor. I happen to be in the southwest, so over Easter and Anzac Day, so I went to a very well-attended Margaret River dawn service, which was run by the local RSL, and I would think that there was over 2,000 people there. It was huge, and the streets were 5 deep, and the Memorial Park was totally packed, and people actually spilling onto the roads. But it was very well run and beautiful weather, crisp at dawn in Margaret River, so it was great.
Thank you, Councillor Franklin. Councillor Kelly.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The Luminous Festival, I understand, is absolutely fantastic. I've heard really good reports. The Anzac Day ceremony, I thoroughly enjoyed the New Zealand anthem and the Maori fellow that sung it, really fantastic. So it's good to see that we're in the true spirit of Anzacs.
He also sang at the Dockers.
Oh, no, I didn't.
The Dockers did an Anzac ceremony.
Oh, right.
He was the singer for that too.
And very, very good presentation by the Mayor. I've done a lot of travelling in the country. I reckon I've probably met with 60 CEOs and presidents and councillors throughout particularly the wheat belt in the South Country. And I can tell you we think we've got problems in the city, then they've got real problems in the country with particularly road funding and the transition from live sheep export to cropping and the impact that's having on communities and particularly roads where, they're estimating that for wherever there was one truck on the road for sheep, there's going to be 10 trucks for grain, so they're really bracing themselves. The other burning issue is renewable energy, which they've now discovered that an RAR is something that they'd never heard of in their lives before, but they're getting planning applications for multi-million-dollar projects through the DAP process and the SDAU, and they're really, really struggling.
For wind.
Wind and PV, yeah, massive.
Thanks, Councillor Kelly. Councillor Brown.
Thank you. I attended a pork meeting with Councillor Mayne. I too took the kids to the Luminosity Festival. Just again, thanks to the admin team for running that. Another great event. I had a lot of friends and families come from outside of Claremont too, who look forward to it every year. I've also, got back down to a couple of park runs down at Lake Claremont, and that is, it's huge. I think consistently there's kind of 150 to 200 people each Saturday morning down there. You can tell by the coffee shops are all full. Yes, it's really good to see. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Councillor Sawant.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd also like to congratulate the staff who put together the Anzac Day service and Luminous Street Festival. The Anzac Day service is, alongside the citizenship ceremonies, is one of my favourite of the year. I mean, it's very rare that you get this cooperation between us and Claremont RSL. We have all the schools represented: Christchurch, MLC, Scotch, St Thomas, Freshwater Bay Primary School. Claremont Football Club had a massive contingency. They had government representatives, Lion Club, as you said. I mean, it really is a full community event and one that everyone really loves. And your speech, Mayor, was wonderful as usual. So well done to everyone involved. Once again, the Luminous Street Festival is a huge thing to put together. I know getting those different installations, closing streets, it's a mammoth task, but well worth it when everyone enjoys it so much. So well done to the staff. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Swan. Councillor Hatton, sorry.
Thank you. I remember that I went to the Wellga Central Zone meeting, but Luminosity I went to too. Got there a bit early, but when I left it was dark and it was thumping. It was really good. Kids everywhere, people everywhere, lots of noise, lots of light. It was great.
Thanks, Councillor Hatton. I, like everybody else here, attended the budget workshop Friday the 11th. I did a Channel 10 cross during the news regarding the Luminosity program. Wednesday, the 23rd, we had Australian citizenship, which I shared with a number of my colleagues. And on Friday, the 25th, we had Anzac Day, obviously, and obviously I was there. But I'd like to thank Jill for a fantastic job that she did as compere, MC, whichever. It was a great job. And I would also like to thank the administrative staff, because it's a huge event, and I think this year there were more wreaths than I've ever seen before. And the participation by Christchurch and Scotch and MLC and the local primary school, Freshwater Bay, and the little one over the St Thomas's, were fantastic to have the young kids there. But it was also terrific to see large numbers of the community, and most people thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a chap a visitor from Adelaide. I didn't know who he was. He wandered up when we were over getting coffee. He told me that it was the most emotional and best Anzac Day ceremony he'd attended. It was just an Adelaide visitor. So thanks to the administration, thanks to my colleagues who attend and help make it the event that it is. Item 16 item 17, I need a mover and a second to close the doors. Move Councillor Hatton, second to Councillor Mayne. All those in favour, carried, no dissent. Thank you. Council resolution. The Council authorises the Chief Executive Officer to 1. Prepare a surrender of lease for 39 Goodgery Street. Prepare an EOI for 39 Goodgery Street, Claremont, for presentation to Council. And the second one is Council consents in principle to an extension of the leased premises at 30 Lapsley Road, Claremont, subject to the tenant obtaining all necessary approvals, including DA approval, ministerial approval, and approval under the MRS, and builds the proposed facility. Authorise the CEO to negotiate the lease for 30 Lapsley Road, Claremont, within the parameters set out in this report, and return the item to Council for administration. Thank you, councillors. I declare the meeting closed at 8:10. Thank you.